Warning. This program is intended for adults of legal drinking age. Whiskey is consumed and discussed. The intent is to educate our palates on the differences of whiskey flavors and not an intent to get drunk. Please drink responsibly.
Year-old, a 14, there could have been a variety of ages in there, but the youngest one, they can only put the youngest whiskey age on the bottle if they're putting
It's like a fast food hamburger. It's like, you don't know how many cows went into making this.
Right. Let's talk about getting off of meat, shall we? Because anyway.
Oh yeah, I can't eat red meat anymore.
That's a different show.
Not that often. Anyway. That's a different show. This is kind of, now I've had Macallan before, but it is kind of like dark. Is this out of a sherry cask?
They use a lot of sherry casks, but they don't actually say if it's just sherry casks. Oh, it does actually. This one says exclusively matured in select sherry oak casks from Jerez, Spain.
Hey, look at that. I know things.
You know things, see?
All right. Smell this.
Oh boy.
Wow.
Shoe polish, resin.
Yeah, this is like the violin when you open up, when you take violin lessons as a kid and you open up that violin case.
Oh yeah, or like a library where magic happens.
Oh yeah.
My dog's coming up here. She is a very big fan of whiskey.
Oh good.
Hey Carol.
Good pooch.
It's like, it reminds me, there's something like, it's like cranberry sauce, but it's maybe the like pecans in cranberry sauce.
Yeah, there's like a nutty tartness in
Yeah.
there
Mhm.
for sure.
That's surprising.
And it like right away, like when I first smelled it, there was like that candy store quality, but then it kind of immediately turned into more of like it's not a super candy store whiskey. Like it turned into more like savory and weird smells.
Now, I took up the violin, took it up. My parents made me take it up when I was like 4. So this is our basement with that violin and my dad's shoe shine kit to the side when he's polishing his boots.
Or like, it smells like a fancy lady, like a lady that came from a department store.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not like it's a perfume. It's just like, she just smells like she's got money.
Yeah, the hairspray, and
she just walked out of a department store. Yeah. And she's been in department stores all day, different ones, looking for
the toilet.
that one thing.
Yeah.
All right, let's go in. Let's see.
Okay.
Okay. It tastes like gauze.
Oh,
yeah, that's
But
definitely
wait,
there.
tell me, how do you drink it? Is there like a special way that I'm supposed to put it in my mouth?
through the lips. But
but do you like pull air over it or like any of that?
yeah, you kind of want to hold it, maybe almost like chew it in your mouth just a little bit, just for a few seconds. Let it get behind your teeth, between your gums and your teeth and your lips, and just get all over there, and then swallow it. The first sip you might not access all the flavors. The second one you might get a little bit more. And just take small sips. You don't have to overdo it.
I don't need to be a hero.
No.
Yeah, definitely. I that brandy or sherry cask, I mean, is definitely in there for me. I wonder how often, like I say, something is like a candy store when when it's a sherry cask. Probably pretty often, because I'm assuming that's
that's a lot of the sweetness that comes out there. It's like eating that wood violin with lacquer, with strings.
Yeah, but also if it was dipped in caramel, just a bit of caramel. Not a really sugary caramel though.
Now the burning I'm experiencing now, that's, I mean, like pretty classic. Like most liquor will give you like a warm sensation, but is that like a particular whiskey thing? Is there like the better, older kind of like, is that a thing that you guys talk about?
Yeah. Sometimes we'll sip like a much stronger whiskey than this, and we won't get that at all. I think it's really interesting. Like every whiskey is different. Sometimes like I'll sip a whiskey that might be a very fancy and elegant whiskey, and there's a lot of heat in it, a lot of that bite. And then other times I'll sip a whiskey and it'll be like, oh, this is like I've had like 60%, and it's like, well, I don't like it. That goes down easy. It's like a weird chemical thing, I think.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
I feel like at the end of the show, we're going to have to go back and take all the micro expressions of Amber reacting to the whiskey.
Use that for your next. You can use that as marketing.
I do feel like the well, that'll just be our marketing
Just for us. Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like there was I think we discussed earlier, like is to try to get Amber to see if she can actually enjoy whiskey. That is kind of partially the goal. But yeah, I hope that it's not too torturous for her though.
Not too bad. Now, let me ask you this: like when you're like real whiskey drinkers, I'm assuming you're not drinking like whiskey cocktails. You're just drinking whiskey straight, right?
Yeah. Usually.
Okay.
But we've also had whiskeys where we pour this much. I mean, that's half an ounce.
You can't even see that I have any in my glass.
Well, that's called a meniscus.
Your
you
glass
just have a
is
meniscus.
wider. Your glass is wider though. These are like, these are more narrow.
Yeah, and why take a lot if you're not sure you're going to like it? So
yeah, for sure.
I forgot what I was saying.
Amber asked about like whiskey cocktails, which I mean, I did have. I had an old fashioned made with Wee Beastie once. That was kind of its thing, and it was not bad. I like old fashions and I like Wee Beastie, and Wee Beastie is like a 5-year-old Ardbeg that is not like, it's not super expensive because it's 5 years old, but it's a really good scotch. Like I like it on its own, but it was kind of, that's something that I might try something like that once in a while, but usually scotch, I want to drink it straight,
Yeah.
What do you normally drink, Amber? Like when you're drinking?
Well, I'm a wine drinker, and I've become like, I used to just drink beer, and then I started drinking wine. It was actually when I got married, when I married Kevin, we got a bunch of wine gifted to us, and I was like, oh shit, wine's pretty good. So I just started drinking a lot of wine. Sophisticated drinker. But I do remember, like, there was a time where I was like, there's nothing, because Kevin drinks whiskey, and I'm like, I need a sipper. Like, there's no good sippers, like, and then I was like, maybe like an aged rum, or like, I do like port, but you're not always in the mood for port. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I haven't really gotten into sherry, but I think it's interesting. So that is the good thing about whiskey, is that you can just sip on it. When it gets cold outside by the fire.
You can just nose it. Like that the thing I was talking about cocktails is like nosing it sometimes can be 15 minutes of enjoyment for me. Just getting the aroma, just smelling it. And if you put it in a mixed drink, you're losing that excitement.
Yeah.
So use the the cheap blended scotches for your mixed drinks. That's what I would say.
Yeah. Like the Wee Beastie, that's an outlier for me. And I'm like, I will try that, since I know that Wee Beastie is like, $45 a bottle and I can get some easily. It's like, if I saw someone, putting like something else into a drink, I'd probably murder them. But that's
So are we drinking all scotches tonight?
Yes, these are all 4 scotches.
And so for something to be called a scotch, does it have to be Scottish?
It needs to be aged for 3 years in a day in oak casks in Scotland.
Oh.
It's like champagne, right?
Right.
You open it one day before 3 years, that's just a spirit. That's not scotch.
Now, are there any like American whiskeys that are like, or whiskeys from other places that are like, this would technically be a scotch if it had lived its young life in Scotland?
There are a lot of people making malt whiskeys, which is from barley, malted barley, yeast and water. And those are the 3 ingredients that go into a scotch. So yes, there's some American distilleries making it. I think Balcones and Wood, what is it? Wood Lake, what is it again? Up north in Oregon. Anyways, there's a number of places.
I thought it was like West,
that's it. Westland.
Yeah. We always talk about this distillery and we never get it right.
Love us.
Oh, I know. Hey, but if they sent us a bottle, we would remember it forever.
Forever.
Good one.
Thanks.
Good one.
Thank you. Thanks. All right, I'm gonna put some science into this. I'm gonna go ahead and science it and put like a drop of water in. Bing. And I suspect it's not gonna be great for it, but we'll see. That's my guess.
Okay. I'll do the same. Just one drop.
The nose?
Yeah, just one drop. I mean, the nose is a little more shy to me, but there's definitely like, it seems sweeter to me. More like a dessert, or like that caramel is more in there.
It may be psychosomatic with me, but I lose the nose on water.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely I feel like it makes the nose less accessible. I don't know, for me, but it's subjective. What do you think, Emma?
I agree. I think like it's not as obvious when I'm sniffing it what's going on in there, which is interesting because it's just such a small amount of water.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy that one drop of water can really change. Like I've had to do very dramatic things to the nose and the taste. And it's always different. Whiskey's a magical thing.
Speaking of libraries and magic.
Yeah.
Right.
Is Thad drinking along with us? I don't remember if he said he was.
Yes, you did say.
What does he have to say?
What a
this one is hit or miss for me. Like I don't know if something's wrong with my nose, but
you mean Macallan 12 year in general?
Yeah, like it kind of falls flat for me. Like I don't hate it, but I would definitely reach for a different whiskey over this whiskey, like at a bar. Like
yeah.
But anyway, so what I think of this is like on the nose, I was getting soft linen, like very woody, and then like hints of like a used beach towel, like a beach towel that you've dried off, you've already gone home to, and you're unpacking it and putting it away. And then like very, very faintly, like in the back hidden is like a hint of artificial cinnamon, like the ones that you put in Red Hots.
Like in the finish?
Yeah.
In the nose for me. On the taste for me, it really was just kind of like fresh lumber, like going into a lumberyard. And then the finish, like new tires.
So the finish is after it's out of your mouth, basically.
the lingering flavor that remains after you swallow.
Thaddeus, I just have to point out that you suggested that when you get home and you've used your beach towel, you just put it away. You gotta give it a wash.
Oh, not that's what I meant. Like you put it away, like in the
hamper.
bin. Right. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Just checking.
Not
I know
fold it
we
up
just
and then
met.
put it in the closet for next year
time.
when you go to
Wouldn't
the
that be
beach.
great though? You're like, I don't worry with laundry. I just put it away.
I wonder if that's what they do on the Enterprise.
Why is it so stiff? It's all, I can't bend it anymore.
The closet just cleans stuff with sonic energy or something.
Oh, this is so great.
For me, the taste is a little more funky with the water. Like it's got like a like almost a black licorice or something. Yeah, it's got like
Macallan. I mean, one of the reasons I think it's kind of I picked it for today was they blend it to have the consistency year to year to year to year to year. So it always tastes the same. It's always trying to be as inoffensive as possible so that you think you're drinking something nice and refined. But yeah, I agree with that. This bottle has been on my shelf for probably over 12 years.
Wow.
And that's only as far down as I've gotten it. Whereas there's lots of other bottles.
It is like a mass-produced sort of scotch for everybody. You know, this is the fancy scotch for everyone sort of a thing, you know, which, you know, we like to get off the beaten path.
So let's get off the beaten path with whiskey number 2 then.
All right.
Okay.
Oh, Glendronach 15. Oh, revival. Another sherry cask. In the finest of Pedro Jimenez and Oloroso sherry casks from Spain. I think the Spain part of that's redundant, but okay. Green screen's doing funky stuff. There you go.
Whoa.
Into the nose.
That's shocking.
Yeah, it is. It's like yeah, it's right going on right there, right away.
Like a pine tree.
Like you just cracked open a pine tree under your nose, like.
Wow.
There's also something just like, I don't know, like a magical fairy dessert in the woods.
It's like, you know, when you see those Christmas car commercials where people get cars that have giant bows on them, this is what the interior smells like of those cars.
And that's what I love about this show is those specific, like, you know, mental connections. You're
not going to find these tasting notes anywhere else.
Not anywhere else. Everybody else is going to go like vanilla and pepper and blah blah blah. Yeah. There's something minty.
Like candied fruit.
Yeah. For sure, candied fruit. Like I think like spearmint maybe, or like a cross between spearmint and peppermint a bit.
Maybe the mint jelly with the lamb. All right.
Yeah, I definitely want to taste this after that.
My favorite whiskey. Oh, Amber, I'm so sorry.
I do like watching you drink it, Amber. It is entertaining. Yeah. Definitely like has more personality than the Macallan. Like some, you know, there's stuff going on in there that's interesting.
Like a little funkier, a little.
Yeah, the aftertaste is like so I got a bunch of dental work done this year, and they were supposed to be sedating me like with IV sedation, and the doctor was having a hard time with it because apparently she doesn't know what she's doing, and so they were just giving me Valium, but she wanted it to get into my system quickly, so she just had me put it under my tongue and let it dissolve, and that's what this tastes like.
Wow, interesting.
You know, like medicinal, but in
it does have a medicinal taste to it, and it also like numbs your mouth a bit. Like it has like, I feel like a tingling quality in the mouth. I get cloves too. Like I feel like this, you know.
Yes.
When I was smelling it, it was like lamb with mint, but tasting it, it's like lamb with cloves. Oh, that nose I like that nose after the taste.
Now, with wine, I know tasting like changes quite a bit when you're eating. When you're tasting, is that similar to whiskey as well?
I haven't done it a lot, but I would imagine.
There are people who pair foods and whiskeys,
Okay.
you know, and definitely like, yeah, even people we know will be like, Andrew's resetting his nose by smelling his arm.
Oh,
That's what the experts do when they don't have coffee beans. They just kind of
smell their own
flesh.
skin.
They smell
their own weird skin. Thank you.
They bring a used beach towel with them and they smell that one that they haven't washed.
You don't have weird skin, Andrew.
That's what I heard. That's what I heard. Hurtful.
Yeah, I like this. This is definitely like, yeah, I would say a favorite whiskey. I know that flashed up earlier, but for sure. I fucking love whiskey.
Yeah. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
So are these randomly determined, or did you choose these like for Amber especially because she doesn't like whiskey? Is there a...
Yeah, I tried to find things that were not going to be huge in flavor. They weren't going to be super peated or anything like that, in the lower ABV range, so that it isn't like, you know, we're not throwing 62% whiskey at her and saying, hey, you're going to enjoy this. It's like, no, you need a soft entry. If it's something you're avoiding that you don't necessarily like, I wanted to kind of like, you know, hit with sherry. The last one we're going to have is Bruichladdich, which uses wine casks as part of its production, as well as sherry and American ex-bourbon. So I was thinking like wine, that might be a kind of a white wine kind of entry into
at the end. I'll tell you which one I like the best.
Okay.
Honestly, I don't know if I can tell the difference.
Well, you have different tasting notes for each, so
that's true.
So you're finding something different.
Yeah.
Maybe not in the taste.
But it is like, yeah, I mean, whiskey can really beat you over the head. Like it's not, you know, there's no softies. And I think that's one of the things I like about it is like, I want to know I'm having a drink. Like you said, it's that sip of like, I know I'm drinking something, you know?
Yeah. Now people, I guess maybe not Scotch as much, but more like bourbon, like drinking it cold or like on ice. Is that a thing?
Yeah. And to me, it's because bourbon has to be at least 60 or 51% corn. And the rest will be often rye, sometimes barley, but a mix of other grains. But 51% of it's corn, and that's really sweet. So the cold knocks down the sweetness and lets you get to the flavors better.
Oh, and so what's Scotch mainly?
It's 100% malted barley when you get the single malt, which is where we like to live.
Okay, cool.
We're not a fan of watching people put ice into Scotch, or you know, because like, as you know, just like that drop of water really changed things. Like, but if you put like an ice cube in there, you have no control over how much water's going in. It's like
uncontrolled experiment,
right?
Science.
The answer to the riddle is the poison was frozen in an ice cube, right? And so the guy who drank his drink slowly died. That's the... Is it time to science?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Science it without it.
Science it up.
Science.
Bing. I like to make the little bing noise when I drop it.
Okay.
Huh. Nose seems a little more rough and tumble to me, but I don't know, more like a wool blanket, but it's also like not as strong. It's like rougher but softer. I don't know if that's a paradox.
I think I like it with water.
Did you taste it?
Yeah. The alcohol will come to the fore with water. Like in the finish right now, it is very spicy.
Oh yeah. The zing moves from the nose into the taste. And it has like a nice edge to it. I like it with water too. Yeah. I would say yes.
And Amber's going,
You don't have to say if you don't want to.
You know what I realized I have? Somebody online reminded me that, have you heard of Glengoolie Blue? It's a fake whiskey.
Okay.
That's from Archer.
Oh, okay. Yes. Then I have heard. That's where I knew it from.
So this was like, I don't know. I mean, it had to have been like almost 10 years ago now. There was a distillery that made us bottles of it. And I have no idea what's in there. And of course, I never drank it because I was like, I should probably hang on to this and it'll be worth something one day when I don't have a job anymore. Any money.
I'm really interested to know like what they put in there, like what distillery it was. Like I that's fascinating to me.
Yeah, and it came in a case and it had like fake money, this bottle, some gummy bears, and like some other stuff. And it was like all in a metal case. It's pretty cool. Yeah, I think everybody drank theirs. Aisha would know. I think it was like actually one of her friends because she's in the cocktail world, like and so I think it was a guy that's a friend of hers that she went to high school with in like Northern California, and his company is who made them. Huh. Cool. Yeah,
I'd like to know what's in the Glendronach.
Also, if Aisha ever wants to be on the show, she's welcome to join us.
Oh my God, she really knows what she's talking about when it comes to, and I think she's a big whiskey fan.
Yeah, she'd be great to have on the show. Yeah. That's really interesting to me. It was like when because they had like a bunch of whiskeys for like Game of Thrones, scotches for Game of Thrones, and also like I just started watching Seinfeld because I never watched it when it was on the air. Isn't that weird? Wow. But they have like that. There's that whiskey on Seinfeld they're always drinking too.
Oh, but then you wonder. It's like when you get the like clue that's like, Golden Girls edition, and you're like, this sucks. It's just no good. So I wonder if like it's like, Game of Thrones scotch is like, this is just horseshit. It's just marketing horseshit.
There is a bit of that.
Yeah.
That's what I was guessing.
But most of the Game of Thrones scotches are pretty good. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. I don't think they're great. I don't think they're going to win new fans, but they were good.
Cool.
We did water, yeah?
We did.
Yeah.
Thad, what do you think?
All right, a couple of notes. First of all, the Lag 9 of the Game of Thrones for $27, one of the best money whiskeys can buy. Secondly, the Glencairn glass that I'm drinking out of is a Glengoolie themed one that my sister got me for Christmas.
Awesome.
Huge fan of the show.
Cool.
But to get to the actual tasting notes, honestly, this one was really interesting to me. On the nose, I got some fried bananas or plantains.
Ooh, yeah.
And then I got some black licorice, not anise, but like the candy black licorice. Yeah. And then I must want to go to the beach subconsciously because I got some sunscreen in there, and a super slight hint of a nut, like a cashew. And I know cashews aren't nuts, but and then on the taste, it was really funky. It was like the last call at a bar, and then like kind of like on the back, it was like a little bit of like little sweet, like a soft cake, and with water. I didn't like it with water. I wouldn't drink it again with water. But on the taste, I did get some like lemon cookies, like lemonades from Girl Scout cookies.
Okay.
But that was very, very faint.
That's awesome.
Cool.
That always has the best tasting notes.
Yeah.
Gosh, darn it.
What a ride.
Whiskey number 3. Now here's a little bit of a departure because this is in a ex-bourbon cask. This is a Nevis Faultline 21-year-old second fill ex-bourbon Hogshead, bottle 145 from Cask 770, and it's 46.4% bottled at that strength.
Now, why is it important to give us all that information? Like, why do people need to know that it's bottle 145 from Cask 770?
They don't. It's just geeks like me like to record every
Okay. I didn't know if it made a difference in like
the ones we've had so far.
It's like sports stats, or you know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like
but not the primary stats. These are like the background stats. Like he had this many face-offs lost. The first 2 we had were vatted whiskeys, which means multiple casks at one distillery went into it. This is a single cask from that distillery, from Nevis. So it'll be a little different, more specific. You're going to get a lot tighter notes, I think. But if I can make a request, since you brought up the Glengoolie, can you do all your reviews of this whiskey in the voice of Pam Poovey?
Sure. She'd love it, by the way.
Oh, I bet.
Okay.
Oh, I like this. This is my favorite whiskey on the nose already.
Yeah.
Totally. Some like sugar cookies, jump ropes,
These are good. These are good.
bathing suit.
I feel it. I sense these.
This is like fruity for me. Like there's some fruit in here.
Here's one where I could sit in the nose for some time. Uh-oh.
Yeah, it's really smooth and delicious. Did you already taste it?
And was I not supposed to?
No, go ahead. Go
You
ahead.
do whatever you want.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Pam.
It tastes like, this is just amber now.
Mm.
It tastes like, going with like Thaddeus's laundry thing. It's like when you leave the aftertaste or whatever you guys call it. What do you
Finish.
call the aftertaste? The what?
Finish.
Finish. The finish is like when you leave laundry for too long and then you in the washing machine, but then you go ahead and dry it anyway because you're like, it's gonna be fine.
And it's
And
not.
then you go to the gym and you start working out and you heat it up and then you can smell it.
Oh,
That's what
yeah.
it tastes like. That's what the finish is.
Yeah, isn't that nice?
Yeah, I hear everything you're saying. This reminds me of when I was a kid. I left some oranges in my backpack. Like an orange, actually, it was one orange. And it sat in there till it fermented.
Yes.
And there was like this funky sort of smell of tangy that was like not pleasant. And I couldn't get the smell out of my backpack. But like weirdly in this, I really enjoy it. Like to me, this is like a fermented citrus fruit in some way, like that's kind of gone off, but somehow it's delicious. Like the nose was really welcoming to me. The taste though is like so tangy and sour and like just it lasts and it really gets in there. Like it's an unforgettable taste, like the flavor. And that's one of the things I love about like the cask, you know, the single casks a lot of times is they're so interesting and specific, you know. I don't know, I like it. Yeah, this is my favorite whiskey.
It's pretty funky. I thought the last one had a little funk. This is definitely that kind of laundry been left in the
I hadn't tasted the funk in the other one, but I can definitely taste it in this, in the finish. Not when I'm tasting it, but it's like not rubber tire, but like skin marks. Like there's been an accident.
What kind?
And this is what the accident scene smells like.
Yeah, I also get like orange zest. Like there's a bitter like citrus in there in the finish. It's interesting. Everybody's different.
Casks, so in order for it to be a Scotch, it has to be aged 3 years and 1 day.
Yeah, minimum.
But it can be in any kind of cask.
Any kind of oak cask.
Oh.
And there's preliminarily, there's 3 main casks types that they use, which is X wine, X sherry, and X bourbon, primarily.
And they've tried experiments with like, oh, we're going to age this in like a cask that had fish in it or something like that, right? And
that was apparently not
bad.
Experiment.
But rum, they've used rum casks as well. But you know, the American oak is a type of oak. I can't remember the genus of the oak, and the Spanish oak is different and the French oak is different as well. So they all kind of impart different flavors just from the oak process itself, but also from the types of fluids that were in there before they put the glorious whiskey in.
And so the first one that goes in there is like, there's a virgin cask at some point.
Yeah. And that's actually by law in the US, they must make all bourbon in virgin oak casks. They cannot have had anything in it before. And so the Scotch whiskey makers are like, oh, we'll take those. Yeah, we know what to do with them. Look, right there.
Yeah, they like them seasoned, you know, they like them pre-seasoned with bourbon or whatever.
I wonder what the oldest cask still in use is.
They generally retire them after 2 uses for the most part. There's the virgin use and then 2 second fills. So this is a second fill. So they probably would have gotten rid of the cask.
So there's not like some like 1,000-year-old cask somewhere.
I mean, maybe if they haven't emptied it, there may be something like that.
That's cool.
But what is, you rechar them sometimes? Is that the second use? Is that a recharring, or is that
That would
something
be
else?
that would be once you've used it a couple of times, then you would scrape the interior of the old char, because you char the whiskey barrel to expose the inner grains and to also give bourbon its darker color.
Like char it with fire?
They char it with fire. Yeah, if you haven't seen a barrel being made, it's quite a process. There's this huge
Cool.
fire that goes on in it for like a few minutes that chars the inside. And then they put the ends on, put whiskey in it, and or they put spirit in it to make whiskey. And yeah, it's magic.
Yeah, because it's not whiskey when it goes in.
Mm,
It's just spirit. Moonshine.
interesting.
Oh my God, I do love this nose.
I
Though.
really like this. This is a really good, yeah, it's a really good whiskey.
Oh. Well,
Mm.
Amber, you don't like it, but maybe Pam does.
Yeah, Pam loves it.
Too bad she's not here right now. Oh well.
I would rather have Amber.
I know. Pam's a lot of fun, but she's a lot of work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, we haven't scienced it yet.
science it.
Oh,
Yeah.
I still haven't been able to come up with exactly what that is that I'm tasting, but I'll see if I can.
Mhm. That's often my problem, is just accessing. I know that. Oh, that's that thing. You know.
Right.
Putting it into words. I feel like I get more of that orange with the nose, although,
It's almost like a pancake batter to me now.
because before the nose was like sweeter and more gentle, and this is a little more, it's got a little more of that kind of rancid orange quality.
That pruno quality.
Yeah.
Kind of smells like a hospital waiting room.
After that accident.
The flavor is like more high pitched and tinny, I think. Less deep.
I know what you mean. Yeah, it's up here now instead of down here.
It's like someone took the tone dial and like turned it up. The finish is still very much the same though.
Yeah, it's funky, but I kind of like it. I mean, yeah, like funky can be good. Like you were talking about that orange, like lavender. It does. This is not a tasting note, but like when I experience lavender, it's like it smells good at first, but then you're like, this doesn't smell good. Like there's half as much of it doesn't smell good as it does smell good.
Yeah, lavender is kind of overwhelming for me. Like it's one of those smells I'm like, oh, lavender. Okay, that's enough. That's enough.
Back off now. Yeah.
Thad, what do you think?
Not a fan of it with water. I mean, I'm not saying don't do it, because I always say try it with water. But without water, I was on the nose. I was getting some butterscotch, something savory like lamb chops, and then instead of oranges, I was actually getting strawberries for me on the nose. As far as the taste goes, I was getting brown butter and some onions, and like this rarely happens with whiskey for me after adding water to it, but like, you know how cold water tastes different from every other type of water? Like
Better.
Yeah. It was like the initial onset after adding water. It was like cold water. And on the finish, I completely agree with you. I completely agree with Amber. Like, it is that mildew workout clothes that you're rocking at the gym. Like, good fun though.
Oh, I fucking love whiskey. I don't know if I mentioned that at all.
Is that naturally like? Are you guys moved to say that almost every time you drink whiskey?
Close to.
There's a counter, or I guess maybe it's not up anymore, but
No, he's got it there. Oh, he's given Amber a 10 for love of whiskey. Thad, you
Wow.
sneaky fellow, you.
yeah,
What does that mean?
it means you love whiskey 10. It's like, in I don't know if you're into the Marvel universe, but it's like I love you 3000.
No.
No.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
Most cool things that people like, I'm not into. Like whiskey and Marvel. I don't know why my husband married me.
You seem pretty okay to me.
Thanks.
I've known you for a long time, Amber, and you're a wholesome, delightful person in general. So, that's my opinion. Wholesome may be pushing it, but you are delightful.
Wholesome is pushing it.
Yeah.
Hey, we got a few minutes before our next whiskey here. Do you want to talk? Are you currently shooting, or is it still just in pre-production?
We start on a week from Monday. So we start the Monday after Thanksgiving, and so things are heating up. There's a lot going on. The director's staying at our house. It's a low budget production. So that means everybody's doing everything.
Well, Kevin was telling us that at the last minute you lost your house location that you were going to shoot at, that they said no. So has that been, you found
that's been resolved, but that means that there's always other problems to solve.
Of course.
Yeah. I mean, that is production, is like solving problems.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing that we didn't realize or weren't anticipating is this time of year is usually pretty slow with production, but COVID has fucked everything up. And now everybody's like jamming to try to get stuff done. So there's not a lot of crew available, especially crew that wants to work for very little money over the holidays.
Right.
What?
Oh,
Isn't that surprising?
That is surprising.
Yeah.
It's almost like there was just almost a strike.
About that very thing. Yeah.
Totally.
Oh, well, I hope you do. I know Colin a little bit from Second City in Toronto. Such a fantastic person and very funny man. He's
really great. I'm so lucky. Like, we were talking about the cast yesterday, and I'm so lucky that I know everybody. Like, most, that's such a rare thing to go into a shoot and know everybody that you're working with. And so I've known Colin for a really long time. A wonderful actress named Kate Lambert is playing my sister. I met her doing Second City cruise ships. We lived together on a tiny boat for a couple months. So it's just so exciting. We're gonna have so much fun. We're gonna be tired.
Seems like a solid vetting process. Like, before I do a movie with you, we're gonna live in a cabin together that's 5 feet by 5 feet.
Exactly. Let's do that.
And then I'll know if I want to do a movie.
Crazy. And I had bronchitis like the whole time. So I was in this tiny room with her. I'm just like hacking the whole time. I can't believe that she still answers my phone calls.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I don't want to do a cruise at the best of times, but I can't imagine doing it as
well. Also, when you're like working, like you're doing like an entertainment, I know people who've done that. Like, they really should pack you in there in a tiny little space. Yeah.
And like, I'd never even been on a cruise when I started working on the cruise ship, and cruise ships are weird. Like, maritime life in general is like, it just brings a lot of crazy people together. And like, the crew bar is like one of the most amazing places on earth. It's like in the belly of the ship. And there's like there was this like tiny little, like very dense man that was like the guy that would like do all the ropes and the anchor stuff. And at night in the crew bar, he would walk around on his hands. And there was just always like crazy things going on. Like, it was an insane place, but I'm very glad I got to experience it.
Yeah. Yeah, I know Dave Keaton did cruises for a long time too.
Yeah, Dave knows better than anybody. He should write a book.
He should write a book. I love Dave Keaton.
Me too. Me too.
I might like him if I met him.
You'd like him.
Might.
We should have him on the show. Anyway,
we should.
We're on our last whiskey, right?
Our last whiskey. Now, I'm hoping that this brings us home in a very delightful way. This is such a sweet, lovely whiskey, the classic Laddie.
This is like your favorite whiskey. Like, you drink this all. This is like your go-to. Like, I know
this is my go-to. You'll find this in a lot of bars. It's really doing weird color shifts. I like that.
Yeah, it's doing some good stuff.
Anyways, I love this. I love this distillery. I love this whiskey.
Now, if you were getting a glass of this at a bar, how much does it retail for?
I think at the study here next to the place it's been a couple of years now, probably like $10-12 for a 2-ounce pour.
That's very reasonable.
Yeah, not super expensive. I think this was $55 with the idiot import tax that was slipped on at the last presidency. I think it's now over 60. Anyways,
Yeah, I got a bottle of this because I know you like it so much, and I liked it, but it wasn't like, I don't know,
It wasn't an Ardbeg. I know.
Yeah, I'm a weirdo who likes smoky Isla.
I like the smoky sometimes, but sometimes I like the non-smoky. And this,
I
this
don't know. I'm excited to go back into it today because I might be. I feel like I'm getting more into like Speyside. You know what I mean?
flowers and buttered bread. What a sandwich!
That's very like hits you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, flowers and buttered bread. It is like a flour and butter sandwich.
A nice grassy hill with the sunshine on your shoulders.
Like when you first open a box of like kids sneakers.
Or when you go to like a shoe store as a kid, you know,
Yeah.
at the shoes, or the smell in the shoe store.
Mm-hmm.
Keds, is that the one? What was the one where they had like, they would give you like toys and stuff in the box? I don't know. I feel like there was like but maybe it was only an Oregon thing. There was a shoe store that had a slide in it. It was like a kid's shoe store. And I feel like there was like a mascot that was like a sailor. Am I crazy?
What? No, this sounds
Certainly
wrong.
never heard about this.
Buster Brown? I don't know.
I remember Buster Brown.
Was it
Buster Brown was like, he did wear a little sailor outfit.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Whew.
Everything's okay.
What was okay? This is totally an aside. What's about a penny loafer? Why did you put pennies in your shoe? Like that made no sense to me.
Is it like a luck thing? No, that's if you find a penny, but I guess it is if you wear a penny too.
It's like finding a penny, but you know, you're finding it all the time. So it's like,
oh, there's a penny. Oh, there's a penny. Oh, there's a penny. Oh, there's a penny. Yeah.
It's just a shoe company being too cheap to adorn their shoes. So they suggest you do it when you get them home.
Oh, see, I'll go with that one.
I am gonna look up penny loafer when we're done with the show. That's the thing about technologies.
It's my favorite whiskey. I can't say no. I fucking love this.
So this is your favorite, really?
This is one of two. My other favorite is Ardbeg, and my other favorite is Octomore, and my other favorite, I could keep going.
So just straight up Ardbeg, or
no, the Ugadal.
Ugadal. Yeah.
Ugadal is.
Yeah, I think my favorite whiskey right now, although I really like this, is Port Charlotte. Like I think just regular Port Charlotte, like
PC10. Yeah.
There's just something about it that's I don't know, like Ugadal is great, but Port Charlotte just has this really specific kind of smoky, deep, like it just hits like a deeper note that I don't know.
To me, it's the blending of this kind of like wine influenced casks with the peat, and it's got a little frisson to it. It feels very, very much like it's bubbling on your tongue, like pop rocks almost. This is one of the reasons I like Bruichladdich. Very old school.
I really like this though, Andrew. Like I definitely am. Now I'm thinking I want to get another bottle. Like this is really good.
It's got like, it reminds me of like chloroseptic. Like Band-Aids.
Yeah. Oh, well, we didn't send you any Ardbeg or Lefroy. That'll get you some Band-Aids flavor.
Yeah, that's like super medicinal. Yeah, I think there's like isn't there an SMWS called like a dirty Band-Aid or something?
Something like that.
Ew.
Yeah. But in a good way, Amber.
Oh yeah, yeah.
In a good way.
Oh,
I will say what I learned most is that it's just smelling them is very delightful. I like the way they smell much more than the way they taste, which I didn't think I liked until today.
Well, we've got you to this.
Maybe that's the first step down the road.
First step, yeah.
First step, baby steps.
Baby's
drinking scotch.
I can kind of relate because I feel like coffee is that way. I love the smell of coffee beans, and the coffee never quite delivers on that promise.
Yeah,
it's good, but it never quite gets as good as the smell.
Okay.
I feel like bread too. Like I love bread, but it's like the smell of bread is always going to be better than the taste of bread.
Yeah,
always.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, this nose is really phenomenal.
Yes.
Can you get any of that wine? Is there any of that? Is it white wine? These were.
It's a mix of casks, and I'm going to have to open up my whiskey database to tell you what this one was about. So hold please. Which one? This was bottled on my birthday last year.
I definitely get some of those. I get some of those drier notes from wine in here, though, like in the nose for sure. I definitely.
There we go. This was Bruichladdich recipe. It'll be at the bottom. See, isn't it great that I have a database of this sort of
Are you
stuff?
reading out of an old dusty book, Andrew? I hope that's what's happening.
I wish it was. It is, in fact, just a spreadsheet.
You should just put a
Oh,
little talcum
man.
powder on like in front of you, and then you can just like do a thump like you're opening a book, and the powder will come up. And you're like,
Yeah.
as I read from the book of whiskey.
This is a vatting of 80 casks, 4 vintages, 3 barley types, and 12 cask types. So,
So that's
bourbon,
a blend of
US
several
bourbon barrels.
vatting.
Then Spain, one that was started in a bourbon hogshead, then Spain sherry butt, then US bourbon, then France Rivisalis Muscat hogshead.
Muscat, that's like a type of wine, right? The Muscat. Yeah.
Then one that's just called French oak hogshead, which will be an white wine. France Sauternes, Smelian and Sauvignon Blanc hogshead. Bourbon, it goes on and on. Then France Jurancon, Gros Manseg, Petit Manseg, and Corbu hogsheads. So yeah, like I said, a lot of wine influence in here. France Merlot and Cabernet Franc. Merlot, Cabernet Sauvignon, Franc, Merlot, Muscat, Bourbon, French oak.
So I'm assuming that, like anything, it's a skill that you develop over time, like being able to smell and taste, and like, I can't imagine that you guys could do this right away when you were baby whiskey drinkers.
No. And we did start as babies.
Yeah, I mean, I started drinking Lafroig, and that's such an overwhelming flavor to it. Like I would drink that all the time. That was like my whiskey, and then that was before I branched out into other stuff. So it's like something like this seems delicate to me, like it's like because that was my entry into like fancy scotches was Lafroig, and it's like and other people would drink it. Like, I drink it with people. I'd be like, I love Lafroig, and other people would take a sip of it and they'd be like, that tastes like a tire fire with like old boots and tires on fire. And I don't like it. Like that's what, it's like I feel like I licked the floor of like a drugstore after. And but
now is it, I guess you find places that like have good whiskey lists and you're like, oh, that's a good whiskey bar. Is that easy to find? Like, do lots of places have a good whiskey selection?
They're mostly pretty narrow because I think the public's knowledge of the variety of whiskeys out there is pretty narrow. So they'll tend to have the Macallan and the Glenlivet and like very, very, very easy drinking, mass produced Johnny Walker, like very, very consistent, but kind of boring if you ask me. And also the thing that galls me is going to a bar and then paying, $25 for some fancy scotch when I know the bottle only cost them $100, and it's like in one drink I'm paying a quarter of the bottle. Like that's just
totally.
That makes me,
So I bought Kevin a like Whiskey of the Month Club subscription for Christmas last year, and that's been a great investment. I think there was only one that he didn't like much, and I was like, I've been surprised at how well he can finish a bottle of whiskey in a month. But it's pretty cool because you're gonna get stuff you wouldn't maybe have experienced otherwise.
This is super boring and into whiskey, which you don't care about so much, but there's a whiskey club at work that's been going on now for, I want to say 15 years. And without that club, there's no way I would know a fraction of what I know about whiskey. Why would you buy a whiskey if you've never had it before? If you've never taken it, you wouldn't know, oh, wait a second, I really like this distillery, or I don't like that one, or like, it was just such an education for me.
You got to have input from other people. You can't do all the work on your own.
Right. And I think
if the bottle lasts a while, like $60 for a bottle of whiskey is not that much, if you're gonna drink it over a month or 2 months. But like the initial investment is pretty high, so you don't want to just buy a $60 bottle of whiskey unless you know it's already good.
Totally.
And you're gonna enjoy it for that month.
Totally.
I think Joseph, you and I doing this show, I think you've gotten that same education that I was honored to have from the Whiskey Society. We now know, like, you can go and say, oh, you know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of this from that distillery. And it's like, this is something you wouldn't be able to do without this kind of experiment. So I want to bring this onto the YouTubes. We want to bring this onto the YouTubes to bring it to other people as well. And yeah, so there you go. And plus, we just fucking love whiskey.
Yeah.
Those face packs.
It's clear. You guys are living your best lives.
Yeah, we're supposed to science this. I don't want to science it though.
Oh.
You know, like this is the first one I think that I'm like, I don't really want to.
I'm gonna.
But I will. But
let me remind myself of what it is.
But I'm just really enjoying this right now. It's like a nice, very nice. Bing.
Oh, it's my favorite whiskey.
All right, let's see what's going on. Huh. More of that butter, I think. Less of the flowers.
Do you get any of the buttery there, Amber? Or is it no?
I don't know what I'm smelling.
For what it's worth, water killed everything about it for me. And I think this is the first time I've ever tried this whiskey with water, because this is my go-to whiskey. I love this whiskey. This is the whiskey I give to friends if they don't like whiskey. Like, this is my go-to whiskey for them.
Yeah.
And like,
it is like such a specific flavor. Like they really know what they're doing making this. They're like, we know what we want this to taste like, and we're gonna make it. That's how it's gonna taste.
And it's distinct from most other whiskeys in the amount of wine casks that they use. That is very much a Bruichladdich thing. Other people do use a little bit of wine, but not to the extent these guys do.
Yeah, and the other cool thing is about this is that if you buy a bottle on this, you can go on the Bruichladdich website and actually type in the numbers, and it will tell you everything about the whiskey. It'll tell you the cask, what year it was distilled in, everything.
That's this little code. And that's what I was reading off when I was telling you all the casks it had, and the types of barley, and the locations, and type, just
more stats for the whiskey nerds.
Yep. You need to take this show on the road. You guys need to go on tour.
Come to people's houses.
No, not to people's houses. Go to like places that make whiskey.
Oh.
But you can also go to their houses. You can go to the people that make the whiskey's houses.
Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to convince Joseph to come with me to Islay next year when we go in May, and we would do a show from Islay.
No, I definitely want to go to Islay. That's where all my favorite whiskeys come from.
You need to go to Islay. I'm just telling you. You need to go. We have an extra room.
I probably will. I'll like 90% gonna go. I
like when you go to, like, I've done a lot of like wine tastings at wineries. I'm assuming most, is it a distillery? Is that what you call it?
Distillery.
That most distilleries have, like, they have tasting rooms and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be great.
In fact, just here along this row of casks, I think it was this cask, or maybe it was one of these ones back here, but basically the guy taking us on the tour opened it, took a Valanche, put it in, and said, "Where's your?" and filled up our glasses, and we actually sipped it right standing in this little row here. It was like, this is the best place to have whiskey ever.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, there's also the Scotch whiskey experience in Edinburgh. Yeah, that's pretty cool. They have like you ride in a barrel, and a ghost. Yeah, you ride in a barrel. They have a ride, and a ghost tells you how whiskey is made. You are the whiskey. You're getting made, and the ghost is like, and now you're getting toasted, and now you're getting fermented, and and it, like, you go through the whole thing, and then afterwards you taste whiskeys.
That sounds awesome.
I don't know if they're still doing it, but when I was there, they give you a map of Scotland that was scratch and sniff. So you could be like, oh, this is a Speyside. Those are the scents of a space, and you scratch the other one. That's like an Islay, like, whiskey,
That's fun.
Cool. I gave it to Andrew, actually.
Yeah. And after you did that, I had to go, because we'd passed it a couple of times on our previous trips. And this time around, I was like, Joseph liked it. I'll go try it.
Well, there's that room full of all of those unopened bottles, like so many unopened bottles. It's amazing. They have this room of like some of them are like, they've clearly, what's in there is undrinkable, because like the bottle is like only got a third of stuff in it, and it's like
cork has failed.
Yeah. It's like 300 years old or something. It's like, so, but yeah, it's pretty amazing.
That's cool, because stuff like that, like, I could totally get into that, whether or not I love drinking whiskey or not. I'm like, man, I get to ride in a barrel and get talked to by a ghost. I'm in.
Yeah. It sounded so cheesy, and then you went on. It was like, I was totally delighted. Pretty awesome. Oh, this whiskey's so good. Amber Nash, thank you so much for being on our show. And,
oh my gosh, guys, I really had a great time. I thought it was going to be much more torturous, but you did a very good job of picking out whiskeys for me that I didn't go crazy, and I didn't love every one of them, but I do think that the third one was my favorite.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
With
Yeah,
all
that weird funkiness at
funkiness.
the end, just really.
Now
Cool.
that's a good sign, because to me, like the single cask, like unusual whiskeys, that's what really gets me. You know, like it's not like I like the Bruichladdich, but it's so curated. But I like stuff that's just so interesting. You know,
and it's so funny because I thought that was the one that was going to be a stretch for you, and I thought the other three would be much easier for you to access. So I'm totally wrong.
Cool. That's awesome. It's been very fun, guys.
But you know, before you go,
Mm-hmm.
we just have one question then we need to ask
Mm-hmm.
guests.
Okay.
I'm not sure if I can.
You've had several whiskeys today, and we were wondering. I mean, we know at the start of this journey you hated whiskey.
Mm-hmm. Just 1 hour ago.
1 hour ago.
Sure.
How do you feel now? Do you like whiskey?
Honestly, no. But I don't hate it as much as I did. That's something.
It is something.
So I've learned to appreciate it somewhat.
I think we're going to take that as a win.
Yeah. Hey, a step away from hate is a step towards I fucking love whiskey.
Yes, that's right. That's right. It's a spectrum.
It is. Yeah, for sure.
Amber, when's the movie coming out? Presuming you can.
We don't really know. We don't know what we're doing.
All right. Well, let us know.
We are shooting it now. We're gonna do the whole, we gotta do the post, and then we're gonna do the whole festival circuit, and then hopefully we'll be doing screenings, like private screenings, by next Christmas. So it'll probably be Christmas after that before it's out. So look for it then.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let us know too, so we can talk about it.
Yeah, and maybe Kevin and I can come back on the show together.
Oh, that'd be great.
When it's out.
Yeah,
that'd be great.
Great.
Or maybe we'll be in LA and we can do a live one.
And that would be even better.
Yeah,
that would be terrific. Anything else upcoming that we should watch for? Is there a new season coming out? Is there?
We're making a new season, but it's probably not going to start airing until next fall. So
Look for Amber coming up in a year.
Yeah.
Don't look for her before then. Mm-mm.
I'm going to hibernate till then.
Unless you go to Dad's Garage. Are you still doing shows over there?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. All right.
I want to thank Outside In Theater for hosting us here. I want to thank Thaddeus, our unbelievably great tech and tasting note and partner in this crime that we call I Fucking Love Whiskey. Aaron Harvey for the graphics. Our guests, of course, Amber Nash, thank you for being on the show. Thank you guys for tuning in. Solange.
Blah, blah, blah.